Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade J.J. Williams. We've got 2 weeks left of movies that star musicians. We're going to kick this week off with David Bowie in Labyrinth, along with Jennifer Connelly, Toby Froud, Christopher Malcolm, Shelley Thompson, Brian Henson, and Kevin Clash. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I said in the introduction, got 2 weeks left of movies that star musicians. And this week we're going to kick off this Manic Monday with David Bowie in Labyrinth. And as our movie opens, 16-year-old Sarah Williams recites from a book titled The Labyrinth in the park along with her dog Merlin, but she is unable to remember the last line as they are watched by a barn owl. She realizes that she is late to babysit her infant half-brother, Toby, so she rushes home and is confronted by her stepmother, who leaves for dinner with Sarah's father. When Sarah finds Toby in possession of her treasured teddy bear, Lancelot, she becomes frustrated by this, along with Toby's constant crying, so she rashly wishes for Toby to be taken away by the goblins from her book. Suddenly, Toby disappears, and the goblin king, Jareth, appears. He offers Sarah her dreams in exchange for the baby, but she refuses, having instantly regretted her wish. Jareth reluctantly gives Sarah 13 hours to solve his labyrinth and find Toby before he is turned into a goblin forever. Sarah then meets a dwarf named Hoggle, who aids her in entering the labyrinth. She has trouble finding her way at first, and she meets a talking worm who sends her in the wrong direction. Sarah ends up in an oubliette, where she reunites with Hoggle. The two are then confronted by Jareth, escape one of his traps, and encounter a large beast named Ludo. Hoggle flees in a cowardly fashion while Sarah befriends Ludo after freeing him from a trap, but she proceeds to lose him in a forest. Hoggle then encounters Jareth, who gives him an enchanted peach and instructs him to give it to Sarah, calling his loyalty into question, as he was supposed to take her back to the beginning of the labyrinth. Sarah is then harassed by a group of creatures called the Fire Gang, but Hoggle comes to her aid. She kisses him, and they fall through a trap door that sends them to a flatulent swamp called the Bog of Eternal Stench, where they reunite with Ludo. The trio then meet the guard of the swamp, the anthropomorphic fox Sir Didymus, and his sheepdog steed Ambrosius. Ludo summons a trail of rocks to save Sarah from falling into the bog, and Didymus joins the group officially. The group gets hungry, so Hoggle gives Sarah the enchanted peach and runs away as she falls into a trance and forgets her quest. She has a dream where Jareth comes to her at a masquerade ball and proclaims his love for her, but she rebuffs him and escapes, falling into a junkyard outside of the Goblin City, near Jareth's castle. An old junk lady fails to brainwash her, and she is rescued by Ludo and Sir Didymus. They are confronted by the humongous robotic gate guard, but Hoggle comes to their rescue. Despite his feeling unworthy of forgiveness for his betrayal, Sarah and the others welcome him back, and they enter the city together. Jareth is alerted to the group's presence, and he sends his goblin army to stop them. Ludo then summons a multitude of rocks to chase the goblins away, and they enter the castle. Sarah insists that she must face Jareth alone and promises to call the others if they are needed. In a room modeled after M.C. Escher's Relativity, she confronts Jareth while trying to retrieve Toby. She recites the lines from her book that mirror her adventure to this point, but she still cannot remember the last line. Jareth offers Sarah her dreams once more, but she remembers the line, "You have no power over me." Jareth is defeated at the last second and returns Sarah and Toby home safely. He then turns into the barn owl and flies away. Sarah realizes how important Toby is to her and gives him Lancelot and returns to her room as her father and stepmother return home. She sees her friends in the mirror and admits that even though she has grown up, she still needs them in her life. Whereupon the Labyrinth characters appear in her room for a raucous reunion party. Jareth, in the form of the barn owl, watches their celebration from outside and then flies into the moonlight as our movie comes to its end. It had been a very long time since I had seen this movie. I'm 46 years old now. I probably haven't seen this movie since I was about 12 years old. You know, I think about the days when I used to go to the YMCA after school and during their summer camp, and we would have movie days and things like this, Cloak and Dagger, The Dark Crystal, all were movies that we would watch on a somewhat regular basis. And I didn't really get into this or The Dark Crystal at that time. Cloak and Dagger, absolutely got attached to. I enjoyed that movie. Still do. I've reviewed it in the past. But this one and The Dark Crystal were ones that I kind of sort of enjoyed at the time, but just never stuck to me. Which might seem weird in the grand scheme of things when you figure this is a Jim Henson production and you think about the way I love the Muppets. But this was very anti-Muppets, as was The Dark Crystal. And while some of the Muppet performers are involved in this, you know, Dave Goelz, Karen Prell, Frank Oz, all did puppeteering for this. None of them were voices. It really has a different tone to the Muppets that we know and love. And I think that's why at the time it didn't resonate and sit with me the way that the other Muppet movies did. You know, the Muppet movie, The Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan, etc. It's not that this is a bad movie, but it's one of those things that it had been so long since I seen it that I told people I've never seen it before. Because the fact that I remembered very little about it. Even going to the Jim Henson exhibit that I went to a few years back, pre-COVID, so we're probably talking at least 5 years ago, and walking through all the exhibits, seeing the old puppets, the old Muppets, seeing Sarah and Jareth's costumes from the Masquerade Ball. It just, they're iconic outfits so that I knew what they were, but I didn't remember. And I sat through the film, open mind, open heart, open eyes. And it was good, but it wasn't great. I don't feel that Labyrinth lived up to the hype that a lot of people I know thrust upon this movie. That's the best I can say for it. I thought David Bowie did a good job as Jareth. I thought Jennifer Connelly did a great job as Sarah. It was a good movie. It wasn't a great movie. I know I'm probably going to get some hate mail from fans about that, but it is what it is. Subjective entertainment. So when it comes to my rating for this film, I give it 2.5 out of 5 stars. I feel like it could have been so much better. But the funny part is I can't really think of what I would do to improve it. I don't feel like this film lived up to the hype that everybody thrusts upon it. Now, I own it. It's in my media collection. Maybe I'd be willing to give it another watch down the road. You know, I'm not so close-minded that I wouldn't watch it again if somebody that I knew loved wanted to watch it. I'd be like, all right, you know, it's been a while since I've seen it. Whatever. But it's definitely not the type of movie that I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to watch Labyrinth today. It's the difference. Again, it just, maybe if the movie hadn't been so overhyped to me throughout all these years, I would have given it 3.5 stars. But when you hear so much hype about a movie, then despite your best efforts sometimes, you kind of hold it at a certain bar. And when you don't feel like it lives up to or even exceeds that bar, it instantly drops. And I feel like that was the folly in Labyrinth, is that so many people hyped it up to be this, and I don't feel like it lived up to or exceeded that, so it comes down to like here. What do you guys think of Labyrinth? 2.5 out of 5 stars for me. Let me know your thoughts. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. Let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that interaction that I'm always asking you guys for in the comments below. And make sure you guys tune in tomorrow, right here to the Casa D18 Studios channel, as we once again open up the doors to Stat Boy's Sports Bar, featuring Dory Lou. The food is hot, the beer is ice cold, and the seats are warm, so pull up a bar stool and engage in some professional sports conversation with your barkeeps, Stat Boy Mike and Dory Lou. We've got XFL playoff coverage this week. NHL Stanley Cup playoffs have begun, and so much more in store on Statboy Sports Bar. And then later on in the evening, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, and across the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media, it'll be time once again for the flagship show, Talk Wrestling or Anything, with your host, Jeff Meacham, immediately following WWE NXT 7:05 Pacific, 10:05 Eastern. And then we will be back here on Wednesday for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, when we take a look at the film Free Jack, starring Emilio Estevez, Mick Jagger, Rene Russo, Anthony Hopkins, Jonathan Banks, Esai Morales, Amanda Plummer, and David Johansen. You're not going to want to miss out on any of that content right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, on the Jeff Meacham Network, across the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media, Statboy Sports Bar featuring Dory Lou, Talk Wrestling or Anything with Jeff Meacham, and Free Jack as we continue our movies that star musicians. Again, you don't want to miss any of that. So make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel or anytime we go live. As is the case with Statboy Sports Bar, Open Mic Night, pay-per-view PLE coverage, etc. Share these videos with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles in your life, fans of David Bowie, fans of Jennifer Connelly, fans of Jim Henson, fans of the film Labyrinth, anybody you can think of that would enjoy this content in this video, share it with them. It's the only way we're going to keep my visibility in YouTube's algorithms now that we are a fully monetized channel. Thank you once again to everybody out there who joined me and tuned in today and that helped me get to the milestone where we could be monetized. It means so much more to me than you guys will ever know. And I will see you guys next time.